Welcome everyone to the Tom Colohue YouTube and Twitch channels, where today we are watching ourselves some WWE Smackdown. Last week we saw the return of Karrion Kross, waylaying Drew McIntyre and assaulting the sensibilities of Roman Reigns, meaning that we have a little bit of chaos element this week that's making for some very exciting TV. For those who don't know, my name is Tom Colohue, and for the longest time I've been a Smackdown fan. Genuinely quite enjoying it. Hopefully today's one of those days where there's just a lot of fun to be had, because we're going to get the full Karrion Kross intro. We're apparently seeing the return of Ronda Rousey, though not necessarily the end of her suspension. Lots of good stuff happening, though no Roman Reigns. I'm also your swampiest host in that I'm currently sweating so badly that you can see it on my forehead. I do apologise for that, but we are where we are with it. Welcome everyone. Connor says hello, Tom. Hello Connor, how you doing? Sean says hello, Tom. Hello Sean. Bailey also says hello, Tom. Is the PC holding up with the heat? The old PC probably wouldn't have made it. True. Bailey's got the memory. Yep. PC's doing okay. The fans are very effective. I'm liking it. Megan says hello. It's 18 degrees here. Not liking it one bit. Mate, it's 21 here. It was 27 like 2 hours ago, so it's not as bad as it was during spoiler warning, which is probably the only good thing I can say about the heat so far. If you are watching on YouTube, please remember to give us that little thumbs up, just to let people know that you're watching, and fun. Traffic says good evening sir, and good evening to you. And Thomas says hi Tom, happy to see that you haven't melted from the heat. It's not great, but it's better. We are opening SmackDown with a Women's Tag Team Championship Tournament match. Raquel Rodriguez and I believe Aaliyah in action. Later on we have our Intercontinental Championship match, which I believe will be the main event tonight. Nakamura versus Gunther, though it does depend. If it's typical Triple H booking, it would be the Intercontinental Championship. If it's typical WWE booking, we're ending it with a contract signing. Connor says 19 here, was 28 earlier. It's big numbers. Megan says down from 30, but same again for the weekend, not ideal. We peak here at 29 degrees, both Saturday and Sunday, though I am not in Blackpool tomorrow. Oh, thank you. Megan says according to Fightful, the IC title match is the main event, so Triple H gets his way. The match will be Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah versus Xia Li and Shotzi. That's how we're going to open the show, and to be completely honest, I don't see Xia Li and Shotzi having a chance in hell. What can I say? They need faces. Let's see how it goes, because Aaliyah historically has been the biggest jobber in the women's division. Nicholas Infante, welcome mate, says hi, how you doing? Connor says I do love me a tournament. Me too. If you're listening to Nick and Tom's Intercontinental Adventure, I go to bat for more tournaments on this one. I do. Connor says, is that a changed SmackDown logo to an older one? It looks different. Not that I can tell. Personally, but good spot if it is. Nicholas says, I'll be switching between the Jets game and SmackDown. Fair enough. Triple H has certainly drawn a lot of viewership back, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's convinced everyone to just commit entirely. I kind of get it. Thomas says, who have you got in this match? It's an interesting one, because typically, given that we have an NXT team on the other side of this particular bracket, it's always possible that the NXT team will pick up the win. So in this one, the heels would win, giving them the opportunity to go up against Io and Dakota. If that's going to be the finish, so Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark against Dakota Kai and Io Shirai, well, Io Sky I should say, then ideally Shotzi and Xia Li win this one. However, it's Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel Rodriguez is the one who's being protected at the moment. Aaliyah is the one who's not being protected at the moment. It's an interesting... I think the faces win. I think Raquel and Aaliyah win. But Aaliyah has been on a hell of a losing streak, and Raquel's been on a winning streak. It's hard to say. Kieran, thank you for following on both YouTube and on Twitch. Thank you kindly, mate. That's some devilish commitment, and I appreciate it. Kieran says, does Triple H like Xia? Hopefully she gets a decentish push now. He likes Xia Li, however, I don't necessarily think she's going to get a push out of this. The SmackDown Women's Division is in a very difficult position right now. There is a massive gap between the top and everyone else, and the top is basically just Ronda Rousey. Liv Morgan does not quite reach that level for me yet, but give it time, and she should. That's why she's got the championship at the moment. Shayna Baszler also needs a build, but there is a big gap between Ronda at the top and everyone else. It's why they need Charlotte back, and it's why they kind of need Sasha and Naomi back. Sean says, how is 28 and 19 hot? Where I live here in the US, those temperatures are cold. 28 Celsius is about 90 Fahrenheit. So it's 90 in the US, for example. Megan says, Raquel was wrestling Nikki Ash at the WrestleMania launch party. Did not know that. I hope they had fun. Something a bit different after all. Why not? Also fair, Megan saying AC is not a thing in UK residential bills. If I had AC, I'd be laughing, but you guys would not be able to hear me because it'd be loud. Thomas says, think Aaliyah could be the one to take the pin after Raquel gets taken out. Possible. Very possible. Sonya Deville and Natalya here to be spoilers. Shotzi has attacked Deville. Raquel and Natalya had a bit of a moment there. So faces and heels working together there. Bit chaotic. Okay. And now they're back in the fight. That's a nice little moment there. I enjoyed that. It's starting to feel like a commercial break is coming. Yep. Nicholas says it's also pre-season American football on tonight. Fair enough. Tomorrow I'm out for the Premier League. Well, not the Premier League. I'm out for the local team I support. But there is also Premier League tomorrow. Connor says, Tom, in your opinion, do you think there is enough time between now and Survivor Series to include War Games in this year? Or is it more likely it will be next year? It is more likely that it will be next year. However, there has already been discussions about bringing War Games to Survivor Series as soon as this year. Triple H wants it. However, logistically, it may have to wait until next year. Also, it's funny seeing the recent report about a draft being imminent. I've been reporting about a draft being due in September, October time for a long time now. A long time now. Thomas says, Aaliyah literally just tried to tag Shotzi. I give up. I kind of get it. There is still some development that needs doing. If not for, well, if Sasha, Charlotte and Naomi were still in play, we'd see less of Aaliyah, we'd see less of Shotzi. They'd spend more time developing, and that development would continue. But they've been kind of exposed recently. Sean says, Theory beat Ricochet at the WrestleMania launch party. That's very much his level. Ricochet is someone sort of lower mid-card. He can go into a mid-card feud nice and easy, but ultimately he's not expected to win it. Whereas Theory is lower main event at this point. He's not considered strong enough to actually win any matches there, but that's where he's been positioned, so that makes sense to me. Knight Rider, how you doing? Says, good evening, how would you book Fiend's return? If the Fiend was returning, I would have the Fiend return in the middle of Karrion Kross versus Roman Reigns. I would just enjoy that. I would just very much enjoy that. Because ultimately, the thing with the Fiend is that the Fiend needs ideal opponents. You need certain opponents to wrestle the Fiend, otherwise it doesn't fit within the Fiend mythostructure, as it were. Karrion Kross is perfect for it. Megan says there are a few matches at the show. The clip I'm seeing the most, however, is Jojo Siwa trying to style out falling down the ramp after a cartwheel. I haven't seen that. I've seen a lot of things, but I've not seen that. I may have to check that out. That sounds fun. Yeah, no worries, Sean. If you're used to American measures, and that makes perfect sense. So I thought that might be what you were getting at. Megan says, I want main roster War Games. Survivor Series seems like the best place to do it. It absolutely does. Just a War Games match at Survivor Series would be so much fun. I'm not sure who would actually be in that. I think that's the biggest problem when it comes to the time, not just necessarily logistically, having the two rings and the infrastructure and the like, but also factually, just the fact that you're going to have to actually build storylines for everyone. It's awkward. Megan says, I got sad when I saw the draft after Clash thing. Was hoping it'd be this month, just made more sense to me and it would have allowed me to gloat. It was not going to be this month. It was September, October. They brought it forward slightly. I have not turned my pad on. Sean says, Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo are the new Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions. I did not know that. Thanks for the spoiler there, Sean. Kieran says that's why The Miz didn't face The Fiend and just faced normal Braves. It doesn't work with Miz. Absolutely correct, Kieran. That is exactly why that happened. It was very much a case that they looked at what was happening and just thought to themselves, yeah, this doesn't work. That's why for a long time they were trying to build towards The Fiend versus Aleister Black. They were building Aleister Black the way that they did with a view to put him in against The Fiend. Then Vince McMahon had a brainwave. Let's do Goldberg versus Roman at WrestleMania. Oh, The Fiend's got the... Just take the championship off him. Just have Goldberg beat him. And there we are. Ed said if they do War Games in Boston this year, I'd be there. I think that's fair. I think you kind of have to. It's going to be historic. Bailey says, in the US, Fahrenheit gallons and miles are sometimes called British or Imperial units. The metric system never caught on. I get that. I absolutely get that. Thank you, Megan. I'll check that out shortly. I like that the WWE official TikTok is being like, yeah, we'll use that until the end of time. Sean says, a Fiend versus a Demon. That definitely fits the profile. Connor says, me and my mate have been discussing War Games going into Survivor Series since NXT. It's first one. So nice that it's most likely going to happen. It is most likely going to happen. I just can't say soon. Now, Ryder says, how do you see the Dexter Lumis return playing out? Right. Okay. Dexter Lumis's return was to show Austin Theory the way. Is that clickbaity enough for everyone? Everyone enjoy that? Cool. Simon, if you want to know what's on SmackDown, you could always watch. Thomas says, wonder who they will have to announce War Games like Regal used to. I think Triple H himself would take this one. And Sean says, I do believe Goldberg said he was told he was flying out to Crown Jewel to lose to The Fiend. Plans changed. Yep, that's exactly what happened. He was flying out to lose to The Fiend, and then Vince McMahon had a brainwave. And here we are. Aaliyah got a neck breaker on Xia Li. The crowd seem really behind him at the moment. Raquel's waiting for the hot tag. Shotzi on the other side. Aaliyah's sort of overdoing this. Just tag him. Interesting you'll find in tag teams. If they don't want the tag, hand goes down. If they want it, the hand goes up. Raquel picked her moment there. She was, of course, looking across the ring to make sure that when she went like that, she was saying to Aaliyah, right, they've tagged, let's go. It's a little thing that they do. Megan says, I want them to have a thing with Indy about Dexter coming back. That's her husband after all. It is. It absolutely is. Hector says, when it comes to Roman having both titles and with both USA and Fox wanting him, how will they decide where he goes once they decide to split the titles? It will go down to whichever title he still has. He is technically a SmackDown talent, and Fox are expecting him to remain that way. Nice move from Shotzi there. She's not going to be able to pin Raquel. As long as Raquel's legal, they're absolutely fine. But no sign of Aaliyah. Is that a bloody lip or is it just makeup for Shotzi? Something's happened with her lip there. And my BT's crashed again. This is going to be one of those days where my BT is just an absolute pain in the arse, isn't it? I wish they'd just develop an app that worked. WWE Network works perfectly. BT Sport, nah. Megan says, I just want Index back. I respect that. Night Rider says, will the Way be heels and where would Ciampa fit into the storyline, if at all? You're asking way ahead of time there, Night Rider. I cannot sit here and answer any of those questions. You're building it on a lot of assumptions. I've been able to share some information, but I can't sit here and tell you exactly what's going to happen. I cannot do that. That is not something I can do. Connor says, my BT Sport app has never once crashed. In about a year, no idea why you have the issue. Fair. The PS4 app is just terrible. It's just terrible. This does not work. Hello, Dara Lazy. Kieran says you'll probably see Index back soon. Yep, probably. I think it might be a while, and I don't think it'll be on the same brand. But I feel I made the situation clear. Simon says, how much is Punk earning in AEW? $3 million a year. He's earning $3 million a year, which is half of what John Moxley was earning in his previous contract. One of the reasons we're still waiting on hearing about John Moxley is because of that contract and that AEW can't quite afford him anymore. It's all gone a bit Bret Hart. Raquel Rodriguez and Aaliyah did pick up the win. And we are pivoting immediately to Roman. Yeah, Bailey, I'm pretty sure that was Aaliyah's last win. Pretty sure. She had the brief feud with Natalya, and then she just started taking beatings. Just constantly. Connor says Moxley was earning $6 million a year. That is so much. Is it? It's less than he would have earned in WWE. John Cena was on $9 million 5 years ago. More than 5 years ago now, actually. So, inflation. Prices have gone up since. Sean says I would be surprised if Alexa and Asuka lose their tournament match on Raw. I wouldn't. I'm sure they'll win their first match. They are there to lose to Dakota and Io. That's the plan. Kieran says there's a site called ProFightDB where you can check everyone's match history. There is, and a lot of us have it regularly open. Megan, for example, usually has it on a separate tab ready in case anyone asks the question. It's something you get used to, Kieran. We're a bit stat driven here, so if you do have that open, by all means share, but some of us just ask questions knowing that others of us just have it open. Connor says, I meant that is so much for a company that makes zero profit. Fair? Nope, I get that. Yep, AEW has made zero profit for the entirety of their existence so far. Lauren says 6 mil plus freedom to do matches you like, over 10 mil and someone making scripts. Yep, although that may not be the case now, of course. Slightly different situation now. Hi Lauren, how you doing? Great to see you. Megan says Aaliyah's last win before this was a beat the clock challenge against Charlotte back in April. Did she win or did Charlotte just not win? Like, it's slightly different when it's beat the clock. Win over Charlotte means something, of course. We're getting a recap of the return of Karrion Kross. In a nice jacket. I do like that quite often, when you just look at the attire and the colour scheme, Scarlett and Karrion Kross do not look like they belong together. If they're actually going to do Fall and Pray, I'm here for it. Oh, we have a promo. Good reaction to Karrion Kross. People have already been told he's a heel, of course. Mentions Drew first, interesting. Sean says if AEW keeps not making profit, will they have to close their doors? Depends on their financial backers. Karrion Kross saying that they were waiting for the moment to return. They were not. They had other plans. They came back basically on the day. Connor says, I've made equal profit on my fireworks company, which does not exist, as AEW has, which I find funny. Very fair comment. Drew McIntyre was indeed right around the corner. Karrion Kross is aiming straight for him. Drew's on his way down to the ring. Megan says, Aaliyah's been racking up a lot of wins on house shows and in dark matches, though. She has had a bit of a recovery recently. Kieran says, I wish they'd let Scarlett wrestle. That moment is coming. She was originally brought in to be backup to Karrion Kross, but she was considered to be the prize long term. She is going to be wrestling. He was, Kieran, that's the thing. That's the thing. It was a very late decision to have him return, and a very late decision to have the pivot that we've had. Karrion Kross's indie bookings were still live until Friday. It was only on Friday that he started making calls and saying, guys, I'm going to have to cancel, but don't say anything until tomorrow, okay? All of his indie bookings will be cancelled. He is not able to fulfill them. It is simply a case that he will have to do as Triple H instructs, which is get over here. You're exclusive to us now. Nick Khan is very clear that people in WWE are exclusive, at least for now. Now Ryder says no sword, I hope. I don't see a sword. I see a 3D sword, but I don't see a sword. There's been a few moments for Drew with no sword recently. Next up is Drew McIntyre not in a draw segment, which suggests to me the Fightful may have got the right report handed to them. Ronda Rousey, Liv Morgan, Shayna Baszler. Logically then, will be our draw segment. Eric, I'm not entirely sure what you're asking there. Would you be able to rephrase for me, please? Thomas says, not going to lie, I'm glad that the sword is gone. Me too. I know Megan's not really the biggest fan for it. Likes having the sword, but I'm glad it's gone. Alpha says, Tom, do you only watch SmackDown? I watch SmackDown and Raw, but I also work a full-time, 9 to 5 job. So I can't afford to be up until 4 a.m. watching Raw when I have work the next morning. SmackDown, that I can handle. Connor also really dislikes the sword. So while they're on a commercial break, I want to quickly touch on earlier with spoiler warning. We peaked once again at 203 viewers. 203 viewers for spoiler warning today, which again is a fantastic number. We gained 23 subscribers, which continues to hold the pace for the fastest growth we have ever had on this channel. August promises to be the busiest month, the actual busiest month that we've ever had on the Tom Colohue channels. I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who joined for the show earlier, everyone who has been at a show recently. The spoiler warning shows are going from strength to strength. There are a lot of people in here right now who maybe haven't been here too long, and I just want to say thank you to all of you as well for choosing to give us a chance and for coming to check the show out. The watch parties are not as well attended as spoiler warning. It's a very different atmosphere. It's a bit more chill and it's a bit more relaxed. Because of that, we have a tenth of the viewership, so I'm able to take a little breath between things. But I do want to say a massive thanks to everyone. Please remember to hit like and subscribe if you haven't on YouTube, and do remember that we're also live on Twitch. Eric, I'm still not sure. I don't know who that is. Got it. Right, Eric, if you mean Saudi Arabia, it's later on this year. Yes, Kieran, very true. More people do watch parties, whereas spoiler warning sort of stands alone. I know quite a lot of people who watch spoiler warning who came in recently have watched Wrestling Days, and I'm not going to sit here and say, no, come over to me. No, you go watch Wrestling Days. By all means. Spoiler warning is the show that I know a lot of people sort of casually watch, whereas this is for the Tom Colohue diehards. What can I say? Alfred says, right, BT, we get it, you want money. They do, they absolutely do. Hector says, I know this isn't really news, but I saw on Instagram that Shotzi was featured on her friend's OnlyFans page. Is this a sign of things to come when it comes to OnlyFans, Twitch, and the like? Slightly, yes. Dakota Kai, for example, is still streaming on Twitch. He's still permitted to do so. Triple H has been in discussion with Nick Khan about changing that rule, and it looks like he's going to be winning. Sean says, could WWE get rid of Lily since they got rid of the sword for Drew? They can get rid of whatever they want. Lily is being used very differently, after all. She is being used quite simply to keep selling dolls. Bailey says, much has been made suggesting a network would someday buy WWE for the content. Given what you've learned and studied about AEW, will they ever be of interest for a network to buy them outright? Ever is a very long time. At the moment, AEW don't have enough content to be valid, even though they have the Ring of Honor library. However, if they go for another 20, 30 years, there is definitely then enough reason to buy all of that content. Gotcha, Alpha. We do all know why, you're right. And that'll be a shame, but you're going to have fun. And I get that. Connor says, I am big, die hard, big me up. Big up. You got big names. You big, die hard, big one. Job done. Knight Rider says, I'm sure Goldberg will be at Crown Jewel again. Goldberg does not have a contract with the WWE at this point in time. Drew McIntyre making us scream. Doesn't seem to be too happy with carrying Cross. Megan says, I'd imagine Cross and Scarlett are still allowed to do convention appearances. They're still on the list for a convention in November. Yes, once again, that comes down to WWE permission. You will not be permitted to wrestle for other companies, but appearances like that are considered beneficial for the WWE. So typically, if you ask for permission, you'll get it. With Triple H in place, that's more likely than ever. Hello, Ofa from Twitch, and welcome, Ofa, for YouTube. Welcome to the show. Thank you. Connor renewed that membership for another month. Thank you very much, Connor. There's some fancy buttons. Ofa, YouTube does, I think, have slightly less delay than Twitch, but there are ways to actually reduce the delay. But at the moment, there's too much comments. Like, I'm considering reducing the delay for the watch parties because that's a bit more live. But spoiler warning, I've got no chance. Too many questions. Sean says, I like how you're the kind of journalist that doesn't have an ego and say you're the best at the job. You're a chill guy and awesome. Thank you very much, Sean. I appreciate that. I try and keep it chill, try and keep it real. I'm not here to be too fancy. I'm not here to blow my own trumpet, as it were. I just want to put on a good show that people enjoy watching. That's all I really care about. And for a spoiler warning, for example, I just want to be sharing the news. That's all I want to do. That's all I really want to do. Go says, Big D sure does love to make the people scream. Well, that's the way you should do it. Wherever you are, let's get some screaming going. Now, Rada said, would you be interested in the Sheamus face turn to feud with the likes of Gunther and Karrion Kross? Yes. Absolutely, I would. I think Sheamus is well deserving of a face turn. And I do think with Karrion Kross there as well, Roman Reigns at the top, you need some more faces. Thank you, Ofer, appreciate that. Connor says, everyone loves news. That's true. Everyone does love the news. Spoiler warning, it's the draw show. For the casuals, what can I say? I don't worry too much. Like, spoiler warning is watched by 70% non-subscribers, but that's okay. Like, that's fine. We have ourselves a full Karrion Kross and Scarlett entrance. Do we get ourselves some Fall and Pray? Is that new? I Am Time? Okay, so it is just Scarlett getting the entrance. No Fall and Pray. Melisandre's a fair comparison. The black and white changes her a little bit. I don't know what it is, but it does. No Hourglass. Lots of crucifixes. Just a momentary pause getting into the ring. The crowd are responding. Karrion Kross is out there. The crowd are trying to warn Drew. It's not. It's the Usos. Scarlett standing on the apron. I forgot the word apron. Standing on the apron and watching the Usos just laying into Drew. And still no sign of Karrion Kross. Roman might be taking time off, but the Usos are always there. I'm interested to see how they will react with Scarlett here. She has been noticed. Just saw a thank you Triple H sign behind Scarlett. The Usos are coming for Kross. Scarlett says, that's funny, he had the same message for you. Ofa, I'm never going to be on Quizzlemania, I can promise you that. There was a time when WrestleTalk were inviting me to go down to their office for talks. Not so anymore. Megan says, can we take a moment for Drew actually saying hospital? Absolutely we can. He actually said the word. How dare. How dare. Fanatic says, 24/7 title gone by Triple H. There is a discussion going on about that. There is an active discussion because the USA Network brought that in and they want to keep it. Simon, I don't mind Killer Cross. I've not seen enough of him. Not seen enough of him. Matt Ryder says, where's Sami Zayn? Well, it wasn't a mission they could trust him with, but I'm sure we'll see him later on tonight. They're not really stepping up to Scarlett, but I imagine we'll see her again before the night is out. Matt Ryder says, maybe Sami has gone off to capture the 24/7 championship. Maybe. Traffic says, is Cross going to be a tweener or more heel? It's going to be a heel. The first feud is not going to be against Roman, even though Roman's been mentioned. The first feud is going to be Drew. So the fact that he's stepping in against Drew first is going to make him a heel. Gotcha, Offer. Whatever works for you, mate. Whatever you can balance out. I don't want to be spoiling things for you. Hector says, seeing Scarlett on TV is surreal. Looks like $1 million bucks, and I'm glad Triple H sees her value, unlike Vince sees both her and Karrion as stars, not afterthoughts. Very true. Very true. Scarlett is a hell of an asset and really worth having in the company. Even if it is just in good old-fashioned management. I think back to Andrade and Zelina Vega as the giveaways there. Lana and Rusev. The combination is wonderful and perfect, and you know they've got chemistry because they're literally married. So why wouldn't you do it? Over says, as long as Scarlett's around, Cross can stay. I don't know what you're talking about there, Simon. I haven't seen a lot of long, boring headlocks. Thomas says, do you think Cross costs Drew at Clash? Yeah, I think that's the most logical scenario here. That Cross somehow gets in the way of Drew McIntyre winning the championships, goes on to wrestle against Drew at the pay-per-view, beats him, so Cross picks up a win in his first actual match, and then he steps up to Roman. I wouldn't be too surprised to see him take a championship. Kieran says feud will have to be after Clash though, unless they're going to make Cross lose on his return. They're not going to make Cross lose. The feud between Drew and Karrion Cross will be after Clash of the Castle. They're not exactly going on the straight and narrow that they were on, in that Vince McMahon's plan was very, very clear and they've just shaken it up in a massive way. But at the same time, I do think they've made it a lot more interesting. We've seen a lot of Drew versus Roman, and they've just taken it and made it not about them at all, to the point where you kind of forget about Roman until suddenly the Usos are involved. Bailey says, the report this week about the additional $5 million payout from Vince, is this a problem for WWE? In that it was potentially an undisclosed political contribution. Yeah, it's a huge problem for the company. Huge problem. They're going to have to work out exactly what it is, and soon. As I said a while back, Vince jumped before he was pushed. Good question, Offer. I have no idea. It's still far too hot. I'm not as swampy as I was. No, I am. I'm not good at all. But we're a quarter of the way through SmackDown. Plenty of SmackDown still to go. So far I've had one match and one promo. And a beatdown, I guess, but we got what we got. Dan says, I heard Bray Wyatt return is tonight. Then someone lied to you. Connor says, I'm a big fan of jumping before I'm pushed, less painful. Yeah, you cushion the fall. You know what to expect. That's what he was doing. Sean says, remember everyone, if Vince was still here, no Scarlett, no Karrion, and Becky would still be a heel. Yep. Though there was, of course, a plan to turn Becky face anyway, it wasn't going to be happening this early. I don't think WWE was bad for the last year or so under Vince. I don't think that at all. And I think jury's still out with Triple H. I know a lot of people are very excited, but is it going to be a surprise every single show? Because that's going to get annoying. It's going to get boring. It's going to start to be a bit AEW with the whole massive surprise this week. Okay, what about next week? There's a massive surprise though. I think they could leave a bit more breathing room in these things. But we'll see. As I say, jury's still out. I'm not going to sit here and say Triple H has made everything massively better. I like the combinations he's made. I like the use of Bayley and the like. But I'm going to give him more than a couple of weeks before I make my decision on it. Over says 1 match, 1 promo, 1 beatdown, and 592 ad breaks. Well, I believe we're only on our third. We have an ad break every 10 minutes, do we not? We are getting an Intercontinental Championship hype package. They are making this main event big. Good. Good. We need to be building Gunther. Oh, Offer's got an actual white strap. Nice. Hector says Drew is a SmackDown version of Seth in a sense that it doesn't matter if they have titles or if they win. They both still look good regardless. True. Seth lost for months and it never phased him whatsoever. Simon says, isn't Seth pissed off at Roman not giving the Raw guys a world title to fight for? No. Thomas says, loving these hype packages for the US and IC championships. They're making them a big deal. It's one thing I definitely wanted to see and one thing a lot of people have wanted to see for a long time. But having the secondary championships feel important, we've got that. We are there. Nakamura keeps it very, very simple. I'd like this match to get at least 30 minutes, I've got to be honest. Raid. Sean says Seth is being called the next Shawn Michaels. Do you agree? Yep, and I agreed with it 5-6 years ago when it first started getting said. It is absolutely accurate. The high flying, the style. The only person other than Shawn Michaels I can ever imagine saying, who's your daddy Montreal? It's Seth. Kofi Kingston not taking the risk and just beating down both Viking Raiders with a kendo stick. Don't take your eye off him. Don't take your eye off him. They've got the shield for a reason. Don't take your eye off him. And the shields are being used very effectively here. Kofi has lost his shot. So at least this was a brief segment this week. It's outstayed its welcome. I get that they're rebuilding the Viking Raiders and that's important, but they're just not very interesting. All I know about their characters right now is they like hurting the New Day. That's all I know. Nice javelin. Appreciate that. Thomas says if a surprise does happen tonight, when do you think we will see it? At the end of the show. I think the surprise is supposed to be Ronda. I think Ronda's supposed to be the surprise. Yes, Simon. When Roman loses both championships, he will have rivalries. I don't know what else to tell you there. Sean says Adam Cole was also compared to Shawn Michaels. Yeah, I think Seth fits it a little bit better. I really do. Kind of says just when Seth asks who's your daddy, it is followed by Seth's horrible laugh. Yeah, but isn't that horrible laugh the best thing in the world? I'm still having BT issues. I think what it's trying to tell me, basically, is I need a PS5. I'll solve it. I'll fix the whole thing. Megan. Seth's laugh, a picture you can hear. Oh, absolutely. Knight Rider says, agree, not a big fan of the Viking Raiders. I'm a fan of the Viking Raiders. I'm a fan of the Viking Raiders that we had. They just never let them win matches. So now they've had to rebrand them because they never let them win matches. That's it. If they were actually allowed to win a match every now and then, they would need to rebrand them. They'd be interesting enough. So there's absolutely no point with this rebrand, but they've done it now and Triple H just has to pick up the ball. I know, Thomas. I get it. I'm also struggling with the heat. I have a lot of hot equipment in the room right now causing carnage. Fightful Select did say that, Simon. The draft is imminent. But of course, you will have heard that first, right here on Spoiler Warning. I'm a PlayStation guy, mostly on the basis of The Last of Us. That's my entire reasoning. And I stand by it. Alpha says, I started thinking earlier about which rivalries would be featured if WWE did a top 50 all time. Pardon me. My dark horse options? My dark horse options include Christian versus Orton, Trish versus Mickey, Legacy versus DX. If you're doing a top 50, all of them get in. Trish versus Mickey is one of the best women's feuds there has ever been. That's it. It's that simple. No, they are being a bit excessive, Ofa. I suspect the plan is to have limited commercial breaks in the main event. But in order to do that, they need to balance that out with commercial breaks early. Hector says, all these years the US and IC titles were treated like they didn't matter, and in a matter of weeks they feel important again. The little things that Triple H has done that have made me, as a fan, happy, something a 75-plus-year-old man couldn't seem to do. Well, if a 75-year-old man isn't making you happy, it's time to upgrade. Megan says, I love Game Pass, means I can play Power Wash Simulator when I can't sleep, which recently has been most of the time. I actually just signed up for the whole Essential PlayStation Plus package, which means I get access to a whole heap of games that I'm really quite enjoying. I have a soft spot for Dynasty Warriors. I don't know why I do, but I just like the whole Empires mode. It's great fun. Sean says, did you see that Charlotte is going to be on Broken Skull Sessions? I did. I'm excited for that. She's got a lot to say. Simon says, do you think Seth Mox will ever go part-time as well? If they want to, yes. Roman went part-time because he never spends any time with his family. That's the main reason. So we're about 40 minutes into SmackDown, and so far the main thing I'm realising is that there's just a lot of commercials. Still plenty of time for that to go, right? I'm interested to see if we're actually going to get Kofi versus Ivar. I don't think we will. But it's not draw segment yet. So they need to find a way to at least kill some time here. Sean says, does Stone Cold pick his guests or does WWE tell him who his next guest is? Stone Cold Steve Austin submits a list of people he would like to work with. The PR team then come together and decide who he's actually going to get, and then they sit down and work out when he's going to get them. It's really that simple. Oh, we have a backstage Sami Zayn. He does not look happy. Well, to be fair, Connor, there's been one match, so it's not hard to be more commercial breaks. Sami Zayn is knocking on the dressing room door for Roman. The Usos naturally the ones who answer. Also, Ophir says, what do you think is the best rivalry of all time? Personally, I think it was Brett versus Shawn. Felt very real. Drew McIntyre going for some revenge. Sami Zayn just run away. Is he just run away? Sami Zayn is literally running away. McIntyre successfully getting some revenge there. Shouts Sami's name as he starts chasing. Sami Zayn hasn't been that involved. Okay. We have a jobber team. Well, they needed a match to kill some time, and what a better way to do it. Night Rider says, do you think WWE will keep the third hour of Raw? Yes, that's a Nick Khan choice and he wants to keep it. Sean says, I would love for DIY to beat the Usos, but that is just dreaming. At this point, yes, way too soon for that. As I said, I expect to see more of the way. We've seen a lot more of them than I expected. Hit row. Including B-Fab. All but Swerve have returned to the company. Well, they managed to keep one of them secret. Well, that does strengthen the SmackDown Women's division ever so slightly. Of course, Triple H is on a mission to rebuild the tag division. In that regard, Hit Row are necessary. Connor says, Sami being a little scared bitch. Accurate. Sama says, do you think USA Network wants Seth as their WWE champion? Great question. A wonderful question that you should probably ask someone else. Because I can't sit here and say I know what the USA Network want other than what's already been made public. That is way beyond my pay grade, mate. Knight Rider says, I still like the Stone Cold Vince feud as one of my favourites. That undoubtedly would get #1 spot, but it's not my favourite. Hector says, Sami running like a coward is hilarious. Not going to go well with being in the good graces of the bloodline. Yeah, the Usos are not going to be happy about that. Revenge will be swift. Alpha says, as someone who doesn't watch Broken Skull sessions, I'd honestly love some interaction between Austin and Miz or Drew McIntyre. Drew is on the list. The Miz, to my knowledge, is not. Just needed elsewhere. Sean says, would Swerve come back to the company? Swerve has a full-time contract elsewhere. If he didn't, maybe. Simon, I never saw Ring of Honor Punk. Megan says that's a good pop for Hit Row, considering they were only main roster for what, 4 weeks? 4 weeks? It's not a bad start at all. Thomas says good boost to the tag team division and women's division. Absolutely. You never need to go too fancy. Sometimes it's just about having bodies in play. And that, of course, gives us some new options across the way. Alpha says, why does Top Dollar look exactly like Charlie Sloth? I have no idea who Charlie Sloth is. Kieran says, I never really liked Hit Row. I didn't get the hype. Did you watch them on NXT or just on SmackDown? It's not the squash I was expecting. Like, it's clearly a squash, but it's not quite a squash I was expecting. Top Dollar just showing off at this point. Sean says, good to see Top Dollar back. He was a part of WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. I can see it coming back now. They are working on... nice. They are working on more content like that. I'm expecting to see a return, for example, of WWE Chronicle, which I think could be a lot of fun. Alpha says, Swerve is living up team with Keith Lee on NXT. Fair. Kieran says a bit on NXT. Give them time then. And just see how they bed in. I'm interested to see how they're going to be under Triple H. They certainly weren't any good under Vince McMahon. Megan says Hit Row only had one match on SmackDown before they got released. Indeed. They had one match, then B-Fab was released, then they were all gone. Bailey says, what NXT performer or tag team that didn't make it on the main roster surprised you the most? American Alpha. I felt sure that American Alpha were going to make it big, but they were never allowed to have personality. They got in the ring, they wrestled great matches, but that was it. You do not get over on the main roster by being a great wrestler. We're getting ourselves an introduction promo. I'm not loving it. Kieran says, to be honest, I think they might be better with 2 males and females. So, as they are now, certainly an opportunity for them. Sean says, I'd like to see Alexa on Broken Skull sessions, but she probably isn't on the list. At the moment, she's been requested, but I don't believe she's been agreed. Hector says Triple H at this point is just righting all the wrongs that Vince caused. The man's on a mission, shows how much he truly respects all these people. Hit Row, carrying Dakota, and many more to come, I believe. There will be more names coming. He's eventually gonna slow down. Michael Cole just destroying Pat McAfee with that ignorance. Loved it. They did bring back B-Fab, indeed. I kind of like the promo. Said nice promo from Hit Row. That it's an introduction promo, serves the purpose. It's not meant to be particularly impressive. I'm glad that they brought B-Fab back. We'll wait and see how she goes in the ring. There were some concerns the main reason she was let go when she was ahead of Hit Row is the concerns that she maybe couldn't go in the ring as well as the main roster talent can. We'll see how that plays up. She may, after all, just be backup. I think at this point, Aaliyah is no longer the bottom of the ladder. B-Fab is there now. We're getting a recap of our gauntlet match from last week, which was, of course, won by Shayna Baszler. The draw segment will be Liv Morgan and Shayna Baszler with a potential appearance from Ronda Rousey. Kevin says, I wish nobody spotlight the surprise talent. PW Insider, gotta get them clicks. PW Insider, gotta get them clicks. We still need to talk about Shayna's eye makeup from the week before. Wasn't great. Sean says, I can see Triple H bringing back Persia so her and Indy can be a team Iconics, Johnny and Candice. Unlikely. The way is the future. The way is the future. Joey says, is this Triple H plan to fix the tag division by bringing back Hit Row? Not just Hit Row. There's a lot more that he's planning to do. We're going to be seeing more from, for example, Los Lotharios. The plan is just to feature more tag team wrestling. Another commercial break coming. This is annoying. Bailey says, another small change in the Triple H era. They had a memorial to Gene LaBelle, even though he never competed in WWE. Vince rarely, if ever, recognised talent that were not in the WWE orbit, which is very true. Megan says, the Iconics aren't coming back anytime soon, but for a very good and happy reason. It was discussed as a possibility before Peyton Royce announced that she was pregnant. Of course, that basically makes it impossible that they're going to come back as a tag team, but they are still favourites of Triple H, so I do think it's a possibility that we see them at some point in the future. Ofa says, honestly, I forgot Shayna was still hired until I looked up the matches announced for Clash. Well, she's been featured, she's just been a designated loser for a while. Joey says, at least the Viking Raiders weren't called New and Vicious. I know, right? Little touches like that make a big difference. Someone's got to be taking those championships from the Usos. They've got to start rebuilding. Hector says something that's being overlooked is the fact that Pat was in NXT, so he knows all these talents, which helps Michael Cole as well, since he wasn't involved as much in NXT. Michael Cole is fully aware of all of these NXT talents. He watches NXT religiously, live on a weekly basis. Pat McAfee is actually much less aware of the NXT talent than Michael Cole is. Sean says, Billy could always come back without Peyton. Very true. And Kerwin says, can you see Triple H calling Nia Jax? No. Ofa says, Tom, should I bring my Tottenham flag to Clash at the Castle? If you want to, by all means. I'm not going to tell anyone off for that. Ghost says, Lashley versus AJ for the US Championship on Monday should be a good one. Anything involving AJ and anything involving Lashley is good. Put the two together, I ain't complaining. Joey would like to see AOP back. That's a possibility if they can calm down a bit. Megan says, I did see an idea when Billie Kay's comeback involved her just turning up and handing out her resume, which I love. I would love it if she was in the crowd for weeks and the WWE never acknowledged her. Simon, AEW fans can do whatever the hell they want. WWE fans don't care. They've got Hit Row back. Bailey says the Iconics aren't coming back, but it'd be funny to see Billie Kay hanging out backstage with the resumes but not called out just yet. What I'd like as well, start it off, if we're going to bring her back over a 3-month period. For the first month, when there are backstage promos and interviews, have her resume just somewhere in the background. Just there in the background, so if someone astutely zooms in, they can see it. The next week, have her in the crowd, handing out the resume, but they don't acknowledge her. Sorry, the next month, I should say. And then for the third and final month, nowhere to be seen. Until in they went. Someone's gone in for Billie Kay. Here she is. Just when people start to think, oh, maybe she was actually genuinely just walking around handing out resumes. Connor says, I'd love Billie Kay to come back and just start offering a resume out, trying to get a job. Night Rider says, the Iconics are pleasantly annoying. Absolutely. And as a guy who's wearing a Jay White t-shirt right now, I love pleasantly annoying people. Ofa says, there's a name we're missing, Lars Sullivan, and we will continue to miss it. Kieran says AOP just launched their own wrestling promotion. Yeah, they'll shut that down. They will absolutely shut that down, no question. They are hyping up the Intercontinental Championship match one more time. We are about to hit the draw segment. And we have Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser backstage. Jermaine says, I don't think anybody noticed, but the US and the Intercontinental title being held and shown as the most prestigious titles. Once again, Triple H is giving major priority to the mid-card titles again. I think plenty of people have noticed it, to be honest. Particularly after the Ciampa Bobby Lashley match. Once again, that was a very brief interview. Gunther not one to talk. Joey says, I love how Triple H is making the IC title and US title feel important after Vince ruined both titles. I don't think he ruined them per se. He certainly didn't show them a lot of love. We have our table set up. And look, there's Ronda Rousey walking in through the crowd. The guy in the crowd next to her in the green top is like, oh shit. That was fun. Ronda Rousey's not been thrown out by security, but she's dropped a bag on top of the contract and she is not done with this. Mixed reaction from the crowd. There are boos there. There's also some cheers. The cheers I think are stronger. They seem to have made her more over than ever. Why is attacking Liv Morgan making her more over than ever? Sean says Cora versus Roxanne. Braun defends against JD McDonough. Mandy defends against Zoe. Carmella defends against Giovanni. And Tony versus Santos is a card for NXT Heatwave. Do you have any predictions? Yes. Champions retain? I don't know. Ofer says Ludwig Kaiser just seems stereotypical. A little bit, yeah. Hector says, since they're seemingly phasing out the 24/7 title, I'd love to see the old Cruiserweight title back. And it would be featured like old WCW would definitely be a good way to fill time on Raw. Just a Cruiserweight match each week would go a long way. It would mean having a Cruiserweight division. They do not want to rebuild that. Megan says, with German names, they could have done a lot worse. True, they really nearly did with Gunther, of course. They actually have female security for once. That wasn't a great throw. Your security, stop her. This whole standing there waiting for her to actually stop herself, it's not great. I don't like it. Naira says, perhaps we will see a Kinshasa today, just not a victory. The Kinshasa will be on Ludwig Kaiser. Oh, for Mrs. Fabian Eichner, they will reunite eventually. Kevin says if Triple H wants to make an impact, ends on Big Cass. He will never do that. Never. Naira says a Ronda and Shayna face to face would be nice. Would be. There's still time for Shayna to make her entrance now. And she does. Oh. Oh, the Shayna rebuild is coming. You used to be a killer. Shayna Baszler just got a storyline for the first time in years. You used to be a killer. Shayna Baszler just got a storyline for the first time in years. No response whatsoever to Shayna coming into the ring. The crowd do not much care. The money's just laid on the table there. She's got a microphone. Give me something, Shayna. Give me something. Connor says Ronda can walk through the crowd and jump the rail and no security care, but Dexter does not actually try and jump the rail but gets dragged away. Logic. Yeah. They're not going to hurt Ronda. Ronda's a meal ticket, mate. Kieran says, I've got a feeling People are going to turn on Liv hard. I unfortunately have a feeling that they already have. Bailey says Ronda can walk in without security, but Dexter Lumis gets handcuffed. Yep, not going to do that to Ronda. Hector says, is Ronda a tweener? She doesn't really feel like a heel considering the crowd reaction. It's supposed to be a heel. Heel turns failed. Shouldn't have made Liv tap out. Megan says, let us not forget WWE were about to give Gunther a name which was a German U-boat captain before the entire wrestling community pointed out. Yep. Yeah, it went a lot worse with Gunther. Girl says, when are they going to learn waving your hands and saying no stops no one? I don't think they're ever actually going to learn that. Interesting reaction to Liv. There are cheers there. It's not a warm reaction. She's already affected by it. Sean says Ronda breaks her suspension. Watch again another title match. Yep. Kieran says I loved NXT Shayna, so I'm down for it. I want the match. I'm excited for Shayna to finally get an opportunity. Over says that's not how this place works, says a woman who bit the fuck out of Becky Lynch. Yeah, she's not a killer anymore. That's the point. Megan says I really hope part of this is Shayna just beating the crap out of Ronda. That day must be coming. This feels a little bit Sasha Bailey. Alpha says I miss the old Shayna Baszler entrance music. You and me both, mate. You and me both. Austin says teasing Ronda and Shayna. They are. They needed to. Give us something. Thomas has got a point here, Simon. If all you're going to do is be negative about everything happening, then I'm going to kick you out. That's not what we do here. That's not how this place works. Fans reacting to that line. Don't double down on the fact that I beat Ronda Rousey. You didn't. Technically, you didn't even beat her once. Surprised we don't have like an Adam Pearce or anyone out here. I mean, it was brief. The "You tapped out" chant. And here is how they make sure Liv Morgan stays a face. They just make sure that Shayna is a much worse heel. She used to be a killer. This looks like a killer to me. Hector says, as much as I like Liv, imagine Shayna winning or having Ronda cost Shayna. That feud is money and real considering they're legit friends. There's every possibility we could get Liv versus Charlotte independently, get Ronda versus Shayna. There is nothing stopping that from happening. We can have two women's feuds happening at once. And Liv can beat Charlotte. And then we come back around to another match with Shayna because Shayna at least survives Ronda? I don't know. It would probably go back to Ronda. This is going to be a hell of a beating. Because ultimately it has to be. They need to get Liv cheered. So they need to get Shayna booed. Jermaine says, I don't see Shayna winning. I think she gets screwed somehow. And Liv Morgan walks out still SmackDown Women's Champion. Yeah, same. I think Liv's winning this one. I think they've already told you exactly why she's winning this one. Because Shayna's not a killer. Okay, it was a good spot putting Shayna through the table. By and large, the crowd are behind Liv, but there is definitely a section that are really not happy about it. Alpha says, WWE, please, God, stop changing good entrance music. I agree. They've made some bad choices with music. Liv Morgan going all Spike Dudley, even with a little kick. A little kick as well. Kieran says, UK crowd will love Liv no matter what anyway. Yep. Well, unless she attacks Bailey for some reason. Bailey's our actual favourite. Knight Rider says, two UFC veteran killers. Austin says, fantasy Shayna wins and we get Ronda maybe. Fantasy. Sean says, would they ever turn Liv heel? Yeah, forever is a long time. It's a long time. You can't ask me questions about will they ever do this, because everything is possible in eternity. Megan says, I'm still mad about Ricochet having his music changed. Shayna too. Shayna's theme was a banger. Ricochet's theme was a banger. I wish they could get them back. Jermaine says, it sets up Ronda and Shayna as a team and they win the tag titles. I see that happening sooner than everyone thinks. I see that happening. I don't see it happening that soon. Now, what is happening with Sami here? Because he's having a bad day. Alpha says, my brother, I just want Bianca versus Bayley again, and that time is coming. Thomas says, maybe Ronda costs Shayna or Charlotte. Everything is a possibility. Ghost says, the fans are slowly turning on Liv just like they did with Bayley. Liv needs to react better to those type of reactions, though. She's hurt by it. Like, she's legitimately hurt by it. She wasn't expecting it, and it shook her. Bayley says, you asked at the opening match where Shotzi was bleeding. A video on Twitter shows Raquel missed a drop and landed square on her face. Thank you, Bayley, for letting me know that. I was wondering what was going on. Thanks for the clarification. Night Rider says, Tom, what are a few of your favourite themes of all time? Triple H's It's My Time is my favourite theme of all time. After that, I love Asuka's theme. And Actor says, hats off to Liv for her selling ability. She's been making that injury feel real with facial emotions and the way she goes about herself. Now, guys, we're in the middle of SmackDown. I haven't done this for a while, but I'm going to take a quick 2-3 minute break just to top up my drink and de-sweat myself a little bit. Okay, I will be back in just a moment. Please don't go anywhere. I'll see you in just a moment. Hello again, everyone. Connor, I just went to the bathroom. Try and de-sweat myself a little bit. And when I come back, we have the Usos on the way down to the ring. And I imagine Sami Zayn's about to be in a lot of trouble. Megan says, I have a feeling Charlotte's coming back at Clash, so we get the line, the Queen has returned to her castle, or something along those lines. Pardon me. That would be a very Vince McMahon line. I do believe they're still trying to work out what to do with Charlotte, and that's why she's not quite back yet. Alfred says, also, Tom, which lower mid-card wrestler do you think has had the best entrance music? Personal choice would either be Alex Riley or Humberto Carrillo. Still Ricochet, to be honest. Had. And yeah, I didn't say Edge. Metalingus don't really do it for me personally. Ghost says, Twitter update, name in progress. As we come into the second half of the show, SmackDown is currently trending number 1 in the United States alongside Hit Row and Swerve, Shayna at 14, Scarlett at 17 and Raquel at 23. The ladies seem to be a hot topic tonight. They do. Scarlett I get, obviously big deal at the moment. Surprised we didn't see on that list Ronda or Liv. So we have a tag team match and Drew McIntyre needs a partner. This would be a great time for Sheamus. He may also have no partner. Who hates the Usos at the moment? Oh, it's going to be Carrion, isn't it? I get the feeling it's going to end up being Carrion. I'd love it to be Sheamus, but... It's not the smartest move that McIntyre's ever done, but McIntyre is established as not the smartest wrestler. I'd say so, Thomas, yeah. I would love it if he did his full entrance, stood on the apron waiting for a tag. Drew naturally did not tag, so he gets beaten by both Usos together. And then afterwards, cross waits for the Usos to leave, and then just continues the beating on Drew. I would have fun with that. I think it's logical. Pat McAfee leaning back after that chop was a lot of fun. Megan says, depending on who it is helping Drew, the chat on Get the Tables is about to get very interesting. Why is that, Megan? What's going on? Are some people very excited? Alpha says, also, Tom, last time I was here you told me Edge wouldn't bring back Metalingus. Now what happened last Friday? He did bring back Metalingus, and you are absolutely right. I didn't see it. I did not see it, and yet here we are. I thought the new Brood thing was going to be where he went, but not anymore. Took a food review, says we need Shinsuke to win the title because Gunther is so bad as IC champion. We need someone who's already held the title twice. Gunther's a fantastic Intercontinental Champion. I have no idea what you're talking about. He's perfect for the championship. I am getting the feeling that this match is just a way to sort of eat into the time. The main event, I'm sure, will be the last half hour or so, minus 3 commercial breaks. But they've got to do something in between. Sean says, do you see Edge beating Damien? Yes. Well, I didn't see that one coming. I forgot about Madcap Moss entirely. I mean, this works. Megan says, because Dave, one of the hosts, is adamant Drew and Cross are going to team up, eventually becoming tag team champions in the future. Not sure how much of it is a wind-up, but it's funny to listen to. Sometimes a wind-up is the right move. To be fair, Karrion Kross needed a new plan. Gives Moss a little bit of extra personality. And it gives McIntyre a friend. He struggles when it comes to having friends. His friends all want to kill him. His friends are Sheamus. Wants to kill him. It's not good. It's not good. So maybe just a nice friend. Thomas says, Sami comes out and costs the Usos to further that story. Still a possibility, but I think he'll stay back this time. Sean says, imagine Rhea versus Edge. I still want Rhea versus Drew. Rhea versus Drew is my intergender feud, and that's the one I want. Bailey says, when do you see WWE going to a Shayna Ronda feud after Clash? They've already laid the groundwork. Megan says, how many other people forgot about Moss? A lot of people. Girl says, while I've loved the returns for the most part, I do think we need to go a few years without anyone else coming back. With PLE on the horizon, adding too many elements that could potentially affect the event can make it seem a little bit messy. Well, how to describe it? When it comes to the returns and the like, and PLEs in general, Triple H likes more compact events. He likes less matches. So most of the people returning now will have nothing to do with the PLE. In fact, they won't have much to do with anything at all. Connor is enjoying Drew Mcintyre. Ofa says, Tom, if I live stream my experience at Clash, would you join? I would not be able to join as I would be actively live streaming the event. Right here. I'll be doing a watch along for the premium live event after all. So I would not be able to do so, unfortunately. But if you want a live stream, we can always do something with that. You can find a way to make it work. Megan says, I do wonder if the returns will slow down now the draft is looming. Save the rest of the big ones for then. If we do end up getting a return every single show until we get to Clash at the Castle, for example, that's going to be a lot of people. And I get that it used to be a lot more people, but what's the future for Apollo Crews? For a while, he was connected. He was making the right moves. What's the future for Madcap Moss? What's the future for Omos? What's the future for Ezekiel? You need to make some choices, and you need to make them now. But Triple H has made his choice. He wants bodies. He wants power. And to be fair, if they're going to rotate them, fantastic. But those people will not get us over. The people who get over the most are their week in, week out in the big storylines. Madcap Moss was getting over. This is helping, but he's also been missing for several weeks. That's not been helping. Sean said they can't keep bringing people back or they will have to let people go. They won't have to let people go. They have enough money, but awkward. Megan says no more returns before the draft then. I'll make an exception for Breezango though. Fair. Tyler Breeze has been discussed already. He's interested. Bailey says, I know Los Angeles may be too far, but do you have any interest in attending a WrestleMania in the future? I would be remiss to say that I don't want to at least attend one WrestleMania in my lifetime. I would feel if at the end of my life I had not at least gone to a WrestleMania, considering how big a wrestling fan I am, I feel like I'd be really missing something. So that is the plan. Los Angeles wouldn't be too far in a few years. The dream, as it were, is that these shows I'm doing right now eventually help me to afford the tickets. Eventually the ad revenue I get from spoiler warning and the like will get me what I need in order to go out there and just have fun and have myself a WrestleMania. Not just to, have a decent house and own a house maybe one day, look after my family, but also just enjoy life a little bit more. That's the dream, and that's what a lot of people here have been giving me. Just literally just being here for ad revenue. You are giving me that. So, thank you. Joey says, I think Ezekiel is getting repackaged again. He is. And Alpha says, Tom, the number one rivalry of all time is Vince Russo versus Jim Cornette. That is a horrible concept. I don't even want to discuss that. Sami Zayn is indeed there in the ring, distracting Drew McIntyre, offering an opportunity to the Usos. Sami Zayn may have just proven his worth. I'm not taking the cupboard, Connor. For a moment there, I was pretty sure Drew McIntyre was going to pick up the loss. Sami's not done. Screaming at the ref. No, I agree, Thomas. I absolutely agree. Another repackage would not be a good sign. Joey says, I think Omos needs to go back to the Performance Center for more training. He needs a lot of work. He's already there. He's been at the Performance Center for a little while now, furthering his development. Madcap earning his pay there. Protecting Drew McIntyre. And taking out one Uso. Even Drew McIntyre. One-on-one, Drew McIntyre's not going to lose. That's not going to happen. Interesting sell for the Claymore there. I enjoyed that. McIntyre and Moss defeat the Usos. Now in New Japan that would result in them getting a tag team championship match, but we'll see how that plays out. Ghost says apparently Fightful Select reports WWE Talent Believer draft is imminent. There are several Raw stars scheduled for the first SmackDown following Clash, and SmackDown talent is scheduled for Raw episodes internally. Maybe something to consider. Yeah, we knew the draft was coming. We've been talking about it in here for a while now. The draft has been expected for a little while. Triple H has brought it forward ever so slightly, but it was always going to happen. McIntyre looking to throw some more kicks in. Sami Zayn protects the Usos. Drew's just happy to kick people. He's fine with it. Looks like we may not get that full entrance for Karrion Kross that we were promised. Megan says you might need to get saving for tickets. I found a package site and they're selling 2-night WrestleMania tickets for Priority Pass starting at $800 per person. Does that include flights? Because if it does, that's cheap. If not, not so much. Right, so lot of very expensive options. But it's WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania and I'm interested. That's just for the tickets. Okay. That's a lot. As I say, I'm interested. Triple M backstage. Ooh, okay. I mean, you should sign Los Lothario's. That's absolutely correct. He gets so close. He gets so close. I love the control of the area that Max Dupree is showing, just getting in there. I suggest that what we're going to see is an opening tag team match, Los Lotharios versus Triple M. I'll take that. Hector says the Glasgow Kiss is such an underrated move. I love how well everyone takes it. It always sounds real. He knows how to make a noise. It is main event time. We are getting ourselves another hype package, then a commercial break, then a match. Honestly, offer no. I like Max Dupree. Kind of said I don't plan on trying to get to a Mania for like 20 years probably. I'm planning on doing it as soon as I can. Yes, it will cost me most of my wages for a year. But I would be remiss if I said that I don't plan on doing it at least once before I'm gone. Maybe one day I'll be able to get myself a media ticket. I don't think so, because other members of the media have made it very clear to WWE PR that I shouldn't. But maybe one day. Maybe one day. Ghost says SmackDown is starting to revitalise the art of the female valet, and I honestly love it. Who is everyone's favourite female manager of all time? Miss Elizabeth for me, probably. Pat McAfee losing his mind. Michael Cole nearly losing his mic. Good reaction from the crowd. Shinsuke feeling like a big deal now. I do apologise. Pat McAfee already starting to sing the music, and we have another commercial break. Oh, another SmackDown classic moment. We got one of these last week, didn't we? Oh, see, my favourite thing about Arnold Schwarzenegger on SmackDown was his conversation with Stone Cold, where Stone Cold was like, yeah, you beat the hell out of Satan. That was it. Because it was End of Days he was promoting. And he was just enjoying it. The backhand I always remember. But yeah, when Steve Austin looks at him and says, you beat the hell out of Satan. Yeah. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. Megan says, would anyone like to guess the price for a top tier hotel and ticket package? No, I wouldn't like to dare. Wouldn't like to dare. I'm scared. Alpha says I'd have to sell my soul to be able to go to Mania, even if it's like Mania 31 where you can't see Jack. That I feel is my biggest concern, that I'd spend like $2,000 on a ticket and then be stuck behind a pillar. Hector says the amount of times they've made this IC title match feel special is a great touch. Makes me believe we're going to see something happen here we don't expect. Not sure what you're not expecting, but Gunther will be maintaining the championship. Welcome, Vifusham. Welcome. Wow, Megan. Wow. That's a lot of money. See, I'm meeting up with a friend in France next year, and said friend has booked the Ritz. I ain't affording that. Like, I wanted to be in the same hotel as you. I'm not Ritz material. I'm not. It amazes me that there are enough people who are Ritz material that the Ritz is still open, to be completely honest, with the actual cost of the rooms. It's like, Jesus Christ. I mean, if I ever did get enough money to actually afford the Ritz, I'd splash out, don't get me wrong, but my word. So we are heading into our final half hour. And we just have the one match for the focus. Nothing more when it comes to backstage. Nothing more when it comes to Roman, Drew, Karrion Kross. The story that's been running through the entire show. We've had the return of Ronda. We've had the tournament match. Right now it is just the focus on the actual Intercontinental Championship match. Gunther main eventing SmackDown for the first time, and Shinsuke Nakamura treated like he was in NXT. A big deal. Bailey says hotels are never worth it, it's just a place to sleep. Agreed. Hector says also all these SmackDown rewinds make me wish they brought back the Fist and Old theme. It's definitely wishful thinking. It is. We're not going to see it again, but we'll get some old recaps. Alpha says, Tom, I found out in January that one of my mum's friends was offered a WWE contract around 2006. Luckily, she didn't take it because they required her to do a Playboy shoot and have breast enlargement. But she told me about her experiences with WWE stars of the era. She hates Stacy Keibler because she cheated on her best friend, Dave Bautista. I mean, them some stories, mate. Them some stories. Oh. And we are back with SmackDown. So far the entrances have not started, which suggests to me we might get something backstage. But Triple H has made a point here. A real focus on this Intercontinental Championship. They're advertising the World Cup. They're advertising Fox. Who is the number 10 in US? Don't say Pulisic. Ricochet being interviewed backstage. Baron Corbin. You can't have a SmackDown about Baron Corbin featuring. They are suggesting that Corbin McAfee will continue. It's a big win for Ricochet. No real follow-up this week. Maybe we're just going to continue with the feud between Ricochet and Corbin, but I don't think it does much for Corbin, I'll tell you that. Does good stuff for Ricochet. Officer says, face when I told a little 8-year-old Dominic Mysterio is now a pro wrestler was priceless, and yeah, it's Pulisic. Of course it's Pulisic. He's in no way even half of what Pat McAfee thinks he is. Megan says, okay, you get a lot for the package, but that's still just over $8,000 for 3 days, and that's not including flights and outside expenses. What do you get then, Megan? What is it that you get? If it's like a proper VIP package, then maybe slightly differently. Lots of food. Simon, you literally said it. The first 4 words. Just have a look at it again, and you'll probably not continue with what you're saying. Ricochet taking a bit of a bump there. Baron Corbin with a cheap shot. We're advertising next week, where Roman Reigns will feature. As I said earlier during spoiler warning, Triple H wants Roman Reigns to be making more appearances until at least Survivor Series. Okay. The Viking Raiders are holding a Viking funeral for the New Day. It's not very Triple H, that. Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark versus Natalya and Sonya Deville next week, of course. They're giving us an introduction package for Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark. So it looks like that half hour that we get for the main event is already going down to 20 minutes. Good question, Ofa. By the time we also have the introductions and the commercial breaks, we're going to be down to about 8 minutes, and we know this. Sean says, since Zoe is in the tag tournament, I definitely don't see her beating Mandy. Same. Simon says, who do you see the SmackDown Women's title match being at Mania 39? Well, that is going to happen in 8 months. So who the hell knows? You've got to get used to the fact that if I know something, I report it. If I don't report it, it means I have no idea. Got to get used to that one. Hopefully this is the last crash from BT, because it's starting to get annoying now. I never know if it's actually going to work full time as well. Like, I basically come out of it, just get out of the thing. I come out of it, I close BT. I then reopen BT, and usually that works. But sometimes I have to do a full reset. Because sometimes it just says, you're watching too many live streams. I'm watching one. Just one. Is that excessive? And it's crashed while trying to not crash. Restart needed. So I'd imagine we're heading to a commercial break anyway, so we'll be fine. No problem, Alpha. My birthday was last month. It sucked. It didn't. It was great. Megan says, hotel room with the option of adding an extra night if you want to stay for Raw. Access to a hospitality lounge at the stadium. Transportation between stadium and hotel. ring and entrance ramp photo op, dedicated entrance to the stadium, choice of 2 exclusive events, commemorative chair, a welcome gift, hat and bag, express lines for merch, a priority pass and lanyard, and use of the company's on-site staff for the weekend. I mean, that sounds pretty sweet. That sounds pretty sweet. It's no wonder that the rich get everything, is it? Joey says, I wonder if Fabian Eichner will get called up. Not soon, but soon. Hector says the best part of SmackDown is always Pat McAfee losing a shit over Shinsuke's entrance. I wish I was watching that right now. Would have been great. Would have been loving it. Instead I have to deal with the drama that is technology. I just want to watch my shows. Just want to watch my stories. Now, I don't think that we're going to see a lot of interference in this match. I know Ludwig Kaiser's there, but I don't expect him to be interfering per se. This seems like a match that Triple H wants to sort of show off the purity of wrestling, and Gunther's the perfect person for that. The perfect person for that. Nakamura, of course, had a few takeover main events against Samoa Joe. Still not working. Wonderful. Had a few main events for takeovers against Samoa Joe. Matches that I enjoyed a lot. One of the definitely a time in which I watched a lot more NXT. Interesting, Sean. Don't know where you're getting that from. Over having fun with Iron Sheik. Megan says the hotel does look nice. I'm looking through their website. It's nice to have a variety of options, but some hotels just they overdo it to a ridiculous degree, and every now and then you just sort of say, fair enough. Fair enough. You want to be extra? You go right ahead. Sometimes you just got to accept it. Sean says, I think John Moxley's the guy that would love to take a chop from Gunther. He would. He absolutely would. If there's So, in my time as media, a few people have asked Gunther to give them a chop and they'd record it. Gunther usually refuses on the basis that he will genuinely cave in your ribcage. Gotta be prepared. Media, rarely prepared. I'm restarting my PS4 for a second time. Hopefully it's going to work, because we should be coming out of commercial break soon. And I'd kind of like to watch this match. That'd be nice. That would be nice. Right, here we go again. All else fails, I'll get the BT open on the PC. It's all perfectly doable. I don't have to go through the PS4. I prefer it. It's sharper and it's a bit more caught up, but we have what we have. Officer says, I think people keep overlooking Ciampa versus Gunther. That match was sick. Gunther is the only man who could convincingly end a match with a chop. Yep. I mean, I don't really remember that match, to be completely honest with you, but I've watched a lot of Gunther matches. A lot of them. Of course, I've been to every NXT UK takeover as media. So, you remember the sound. And we have to leave the PS4 off. Megan says a regular room is £482 a night. So, still a lot. Still a lot. Alright, I need to log into BT. Bear with me, guys. Won't be a second. Milos, welcome and congratulations on having the thinnest argument in the world. Well done. Do you not watch TV? At all? Bless. Sean says Gunther versus AJ Styles, Gunther versus Seth Rollins, Gunther versus Cody Rhodes, Gunther versus anybody. We all know what the guy can do. Hector says he's in phenomenal shape. Good. It's unreal to see him from his first match in WWE till now. It's like two different people. No pun intended. What's the pun? Oh, the name. I briefly forgot that there'd been a name change. What a world. What a world. I'm just trying to get this loaded and working. You guys know I have some issues with it. Rarely behaves as it should. I guess as a double room is 571 per night. Big numbers. Kervin, Smackdown is not finished yet. There's still 20 minutes of it. And to be honest, if you tune in now, what you're going to get is Nakamura versus Gunther. So it might be worth trying. Might be worth trying. Could be a lot of fun. Definitely feels like a Triple H main event, I'll tell you that. Sean says, speaking of a theme change, Cora had a different version of Twisted Generation on NXT this week. I quite like it. Not every theme change is bad. Obviously losing Ricochet's theme hurt me on a very personal level. But yeah, it's not great. Bailey says, when people say wrestling is fake, ask Cody Rhodes and Becky Lynch what fake feels like. It's just a troll trying to derail the conversation. I feel sorry for people like that. Like, the highlight of your life is just trying to make people talk about something else. Well done. Megan says it's cheaper to stay in Edinburgh right now, apart from that one place I found which is about $1,200 a night, but that's right by the castle on the Royal Mile. There's a Royal Mile. Ooh. So with 15 minutes left, and that includes a commercial break, the Intercontinental Championship match is finally starting. I get that we're making it seem a big deal, but the way we're doing main events is still not working. We literally said the match was on about 20 minutes ago, and then we just killed time until then. That's true, Kevin. I did not. Edinburgh Fringe is finished now, I believe, Connor. It was on. Certainly. I believe it's finished now. Let me know if I'm wrong. I like that we're getting a bit of a recap of Gunther from Michael Cole, mentioning the Ring General. Strong Nakamura chance happening at the moment. Gunther's selling for him, which is always a good thing. Not sure, Connor. Correct me if I'm wrong. Eric says, picture this. Liv retains that... Good. Then Ronda comes back against Shayna because Shayna doesn't need to be for the belt. Then Charlotte or Sasha come back for Liv. So basically exactly what I said earlier. I can picture it. Pictured it a while ago. We are starting quite slow paced. Gunther's leapfrog will never not be impressive, I'll tell you that. There is no moment at which I'm not impressed by that. The man can fly. Ooh, breakfast hamper. Ooh. Hector says, did WWE not have a choice when it comes to all these ads and commercials? Because isn't that just Fox's thing more than WWE? Yep. Fox and the WWE come to an agreement on how many ad breaks they're going to have. And then the WWE's job is basically to say, okay, here you can fit one in here. They hand it over to Fox when the commercial break comes in. And Fox just basically says, okay, you can't have it, you can't have it, now you can have it. No, Eric, Ronda Shayna doesn't need the belt. No feud needs a belt. There is not a single feud that needs a belt. The belt is a prop to get people over. If people are already over, you're never going to need it. Roman will never need a championship belt again. Okay, Kevin, if you didn't like that ending, that's fine, but there's been plenty more. There's a lot been going on with Drew McIntyre, I'll tell you that. He's been the focus for this particular one. We saw some Scarlett. Briefly saw Karrion Kross. We've been steadily building to the IC Championship match. We had 2 backstage promos, but I wouldn't really call them promos. Very brief. It's not very exciting. And that's our first chop. Nakamura into the armbar. Lovely. Nakamura's chest looks like it's getting red. A couple of stomps a bit too close to the neck there for comfort. Nakamura's trying to be really wily here. It's not quite paying off for him yet. Hector says, Tom, you've seemingly followed Gunther for a huge chunk of his career. Has he ever had a legit finisher or no? I've only followed his WWE run. He did early on. Early on, the powerbomb was his finisher. But over the last few years, that's not been an area of focus of his. He's never really cared much for that concept. Part of the whole ring general thing is respecting wrestling in general, not necessarily respecting the WWE way if you have one finisher and so on and so forth. It's never been his game to be the guy who has a finisher of this or a finisher of that. For a long time in NXT UK, he'd finish with clotheslines or powerbombs or the chop. Now Vince wanted him to have one solid finisher. I'm not sure Triple H does. So I think we may see that variation again. He likes that. Other wrestlers like it. The whole point of a finisher is so the crowd knows when a match is going to end. That's the whole point of the finisher. He doesn't need that. I don't think we even need that in general anymore. I'd rather have the surprise. Gunther's really feeling that arm. We are into our final commercial break. I believe we've had 11 commercial breaks now. To be fair, a third of SmackDown is always commercial breaks. Like a genuine third of the show is commercials. It's not good. We need to work out some games or something to do with all these commercial breaks. Need to fill the time somehow. It has come down to 19 degrees. I may be able to sleep tonight. I won't be able to sleep over the weekend, but to be fair, Sunday I'm just going to sleep the whole way. Kevin says, I'd make Ronda Rousey the guest referee. Well, that's not even slightly fair. That's not even slightly fair. It'd be like making Sami Zayn the ref for the Usos, or Solo Sikoa the ref for the Usos, or Roman Reigns the ref for the Usos. Not even slightly fair. How dare you? While we're in our last commercial break, I do just want to say one more time thank you to everyone who came along for spoiler warning earlier today. We're now to a point of adding 26 subscribers to where we were at the beginning of the day, and that is a pretty good position to be in. We are continuing to grow at an incredible rate, the fastest we have ever grown, and I cannot say anything other than thank you for that. The amount of people who are here every show, the amount of people who are here every week. Bear with me 1 second, please. And the amount of people who even drift in and out, maybe just lurk a little bit. The fact that we have 200 people watching at once is absolutely incredible and not something I ever imagined I'd be reaching. So once again, massive thank you. And hopefully the news continues to be a big draw, and there's still some news to share. Hector says, here in the US they're showing a commercial for Beavis and Butthead, new show. Was that ever a big thing over in the UK or not, Tom? It was actually. It was not really my generation, it was slightly before. But it was a big thing over here amongst, the typical dude bros, as it were. Connor says, I don't know how I'm going to sleep in this cupboard. It's going to be like an oven in here. What you're going to do is try. I don't want to hear any of this. I hear enough of you whittering when you're playing Blood on the Clock Tower. Come on, just focus, mate. Focus. Sean says, if Roman holds the title until January 17th, 2023, he will pass Gunther's UK Championship reign. Indeed. Indeed. Simon, once again, you're asking me to predict something 8 months in the future. No. Sean says, Finn Balor said he has unfinished business with Roman. Everyone has unfinished business with Roman. Everyone wants that World Championship feud. Not everyone can get it. At the moment it's Drew, but it's got to be someone. We are into our final segment. Gunther is holding the arm. The match has been okay so far. It's not really standing out. Gunther not able to get the powerbomb because of the arm. Ludwig Kaiser trying to quiet the crowd, but obviously not actually trying to quiet the crowd. That was a bad big boot. Nakamura just got kicked in the face. Is Volta is going up to the top rope. Like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy seeing the kick again, even though I don't want that kick to happen. Gunther went for a splash. Got triangled. A lot of things I didn't expect there. It wasn't smooth, but we got there. Nakamura relying heavily on submission techniques here. Gunther, of course, is a powerhouse. Not someone who really concerns himself with submission moves. Trying to get out of the hold with kidney punches. Has translated it. Oh, into a double underhook suplex. That was beautiful. Focus on the arm is paying off. I do like that the referee got a mention before the match started, by the way. That's a very Triple H thing. Respecting the referee. Good landing from Nakamura there. Good landing. One sec, guys. I need to work out how to deal with this. With the good old-fashioned trolls. This one's a bot, of course. Good late kick out from Gunther. You don't see many people being that good at the late kick out, I tell you. Oh, the knee was right in the chin. Are they trying to go strong style or are they accidentally going strong style? Because it feels like unintentional strong style at this point in time. That knee, of course, is how Samoa Joe got his jaw broken when taking on Nakamura. There's never been a great pop for Good Vibrations, and that doesn't look like it's changing anytime soon. It's a good clean match so far. No, Simon, I play Football Manager as Kidderminster Harriers. I like going from the 6th tier up to the top. Nakamura not happy with Ludwig Kaiser. Don't get distracted. That's on you. Oh, that dropkick was high. Dude, this is a rough match. Everyone's getting hurt. Gunther's going for the powerbomb again. Nakamura gets out of it. Nakamura's looking for the Kinshasa. I do it every year, Simon. Every year. Hector says, as short as this match has been, I loved every second of it. That clothesline is something that Gunther has used as a finish. Nakamura, though, was looking at the referee to make sure that he was able to kick out in time. He sold it perfectly. Full rotation. That's gotta hurt. I don't really have one, to be honest, Thomas. I try not to use the same players more than once. I occasionally encounter the same player more than once, but I just don't use them. Gunther communicating with Nakamura there. One of the guys are biting his hand for some reason. Sean says one thing that Mr. Kennedy said in Insight, that he was told he was going to hold the briefcase until Mania 24 and cash in there, but Undertaker suffered an injury, so Vince said they were having him cash in early, to get the belt off Undertaker. Then he suffered an injury, so Vince told him they were having him drop the case to Edge, and Edge was going to cash in on Undertaker and win the belts, which did happen. Shame how injuries can ruin a push. Very true, same for Dolph Ziggler. Oh, that drop kick to the back of the neck. The match has turned in Volta's direction. Still trying to hit the powerbomb. Lands it this time. That's the finish he's been using. That is a clean win for Gunther. Not surprising at all. Exactly what I expected to see. The whole point of this is to really show that Gunther is a heel, but he's not a cowardly heel. He's there to pick up wins. Good showing. I do still wish it was longer. But it does make a bigger deal of the Intercontinental Championship. Well, maybe it was Thomas. Maybe you're secretly leading football. What I will say is I love how they worked for each other. Both men sold really hard. And it showed. It showed the respect that both men had for each other. Gunther with a proper pin at the end, which I always like, as you know. Nakamura showing some pretty fierce bruises on those chests. That chest. Nakamura looks angry, but what's there to be angry about? You tried and you failed. Nothing fancy about it. They wrap up the show with Gunther standing tall, championship around his waist. Things essentially as they should be. Megan says, I hope Gunther gets a match at Clash. He's over as all hell over here and it would finally break the streak. It would indeed. Connor says, no cliffhanger to end the show this time. No cliffhanger needed at all. No cliffhanger needed. So, I am going to wrap it up there because it is 3 in the morning and I'm up early tomorrow. So, thank you everyone for your time, for your company, and for your comedy every now and then. Always really appreciate it. I've been Tom Colohue. I will see you all on Monday for spoiler warning, and I'll see you later.